A few years ago, I was working a bread and butter job in North London. You know, the kind that pays the bills but slowly kills your soul. All I wanted was to write music, but between the stress and the exhaustion of having a job that I really didn't want to do, the songs just were not coming. One morning, I was walking through a big park on my way to the office, and everything changed. The autumn air, the leaves crunching under my feet, the quiet. It pulled me completely into the moment. And by the time I got to work, I had this melody in my head, and it was the beginning of one of my very best songs. And I think that's what mindfulness can do to you. It can open the door to your creativity. Welcome back to Big Dreams and Little Things. I am Maria Wronski-Ellis, and today's episode, which is very dear to my heart, is all about how mindfulness can unlock your creative flow. We'll explore why showing up isn't just about waiting for inspiration to strike, but about training yourself to be fully present. We'll share a story, practical tips, and science-backed insight that show how even a few minutes of mindfulness before you start your creative work can reduce stress, spark ideas, and help you write, compose, or create with more clarity and confidence. But before we kick off, I'd like to say a warm welcome to my friend at the other end, Karina Kampe. How are you today, Karina? I know you had a very busy week in Stockholm with gigs and starting your studies again. Are you back in Visby yet, or are you still in Stockholm?
Hello, Maria. I am still in Stockholm. And yes, it's been a busy 2 weeks. I'm going back to Visby on Thursday.
Okay.
When we record this. And yeah, I've started up my psychology studies, and I had 2 gigs to prepare for and perform. And I've had Hannah here for a few days, which was lovely.
Oh,
and
that's amazing.
We've been around town.
Nice.
Yes. How are you?
I'm pretty good, but I have been feeling the pressure of being a single mom while my husband's away touring for weeks. But I'm also discovering the joy of building beautiful friendships and learning to trust that, you know, I am where I'm supposed to be. You know, all is well. And that's something that I really need to do, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yes. How is the new house?
We're painting and we're getting a plan together of what we need to do to it. So it's coming along.
I love those shows on TV. I watched Fixer Upper.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm like, I want a house of my own that I can create. And, you know, that would be great.
Yeah, they're really popular these days. Let's get back to mindfulness, because today's episode is all about clearing space for clarity, creativity, and presence.
Mm-hmm. And we've arrived at this week's story section. And this one is about someone I actually know very little about. So this is exciting.
Yay.
Yeah, still his work has shaped entire generations of dreamers. He's not only known for the fantastic worlds that he's created, but for how he creates, with deep focus, imagination, and intention. So today we explore the mindful creativity of the visionary behind Star Wars, George Lucas.
When most people think of George Lucas, they picture the visionary filmmaker behind Star Wars. The galaxies, the lightsabers, the Force. But beneath all that spectacle was a creator who approached his work with a kind of quiet, mindful intensity. Lucas wasn't just building a science fiction story, he was building an inner world, one that required deep focus, patience, and presence. Long before Star Wars became a global phenomenon, Lucas was a young filmmaker fascinated by myth, philosophy, and the inner workings of the human mind. He studied Joseph Campbell's The Hero with 1,000 Faces, which explored timeless mythological patterns, a text that would later become the spiritual backbone of Star Wars. But it wasn't just theory that guided him. Lucas had a practice that mirrored mindfulness. He would slow down, visualize, and live inside his imagination before a single line was written. When he pictured Luke Skywalker gazing at the twin suns of Tatooine, Lucas wasn't rushing through a draft. He was sitting with the image, the desert light, the silence, the yearning. He imagined the feeling of that moment until he was fully alive in his senses. It's similar to what Michelangelo described when painting the Sistine Chapel. He saw the figures in the stone before he even touched the marble. For Lucas, that same meditative immersion allowed him to see the world of Star Wars before it existed. This mindful approach wasn't only about creativity, it was survival. During production, Lucas faced overwhelming pressure, skeptical studios, technical failures, and constant exhaustion. Yet, rather than reacting impulsively, he returned to stillness. He focused on what he could control, the story, the vision, the craft, and let the noise fade into the background. It was that ability to stay grounded in the present, no matter the chaos, that kept his creative spark alive. Unlike some creators who chase inspiration like lightning, Lucas cultivated it like a garden. His mindfulness gave him access to a deeper layer of awareness, where ideas, emotions, and intuition could meet, and it's this same quality that links him to other world builders like Tolkien. Both didn't just invent worlds, they inhabited them. They listened, they waited for the stories to reveal themselves. So, when you find yourself stuck in a song, a painting, a project, think of Lucas. Sometimes the best way forward isn't by pushing harder, but by slowing down, breathing, and paying attention to what's already alive within you. Mindfulness, as Lucas shows us, isn't about escaping reality. It's about tuning in deeply enough to create a new one.
You know, I might actually be one of the few people in the world who haven't seen Star Wars.
Not even the original one?
No.
Oh, wow. I think it's the first movie I ever saw. I think I was about 7, and my mom and dad took me and my brother to see it on Kungsgatan, I think. In Stockholm.
Yeah.
It's just one of those really fond memories I have. So
yeah, I've seen clips, of course, and that, but I haven't gone around to it. Sometimes some films or some things are so big and fantastic, and you really should see this. Yeah. And then time goes, and it feels like it's already had its run even before I get there.
Looking back at it now with all the special effects and everything, I mean, it looks, it's quite comical.
Yeah. And I think it's like, you're reading classics. Yes. You should see film classics as well. I should see it. I know. I remember being on a date in college, and he was a big Star Wars fan. I think that might be why it didn't last. I was like, no, I haven't seen it. So I'm sorry to all of you listeners who are now reaching for the turn off button. Yeah, right. Please don't. I'm just a rom-com girl who hasn't gotten around to it yet. Yes. But still, I can totally relate to the creating of those worlds that he's, we're talking about in the story, in the storytelling. And it reminds me of being at a retreat once, where one of our tasks for the day was to reconnect with ourselves as 4 or 5-year-olds. We had like 1 or 2 hours to just be that age again, to play, to imagine. And yes, I know, I've done a lot of weird stuff over the years.
No, that's actually not weird, though. I mean, there's a lot about that inner child, healing the inner child. So
yes,
I hear you. I hear you.
I remember finding this little spot by some rocks and a small little, like a brook kind of thing. And we were up in the mountains in Italy. And I just started staring at those stones and started to move them around, and then suddenly I started building like a whole little village in that little hillside, and that brook became streets, and the stones turned into houses. There were people, dogs, and I was completely absorbed, and it was so much fun. That's exactly how it was when we were kids, right? Just fully in it, living inside our imagination. And acting has sometimes given me that feeling too, getting into character and becoming someone else. But that day, it struck me, referring to our last episode, how authentic that playfulness felt when the leader of the retreat was like, okay, now it's time to go back to being yourself again. I was like, no, I want to continue to play. And maybe that's what George Lucas taps into as well, that same pure imaginative presence when he's creating those extravagant worlds in outer space. But that's what came to me listening to the story.
Yeah, I hear you. I think that George Lucas was more in a flow state than actually mindful when he wrote and created those worlds. A few years back, when I studied for my master's, I really wanted to write my thesis of something that meant something to me personally and something that I could possibly build on. So I started doing short mindfulness sessions before I was writing songs. I also set up a short course in mindful songwriting where I try these ideas with some volunteers as evidence for my thesis. And the results of that course absolutely blew me away. I really saw the impact that mindfulness can have on your creativity and the effect that mindfulness has on your body from just breathing and focusing on your breath and being completely present in your body. It really helped the participants to be present and forgetting about everything buzzing around in their mind that's been happening that day or will happen later on. So by being just completely, fully present, I think that could be the catalyst to taking you to the flow state where you just totally thrive creatively. I think that's where George Lucas was coming up with all these amazing ideas and all these worlds that he was creating and where he completely immersed himself in them. Flow is a state where you're so involved in the activity you're doing that you're completely forgetting time and room and space.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, because you completely forget about the outer world.
Deeper into. I totally agree.
A different episode.
So I'm a great believer that mindfulness is actually what can bring you into that flow state. But flow is definitely a topic I think we should dive deeper into in a different episode.
Yes. Can you tell us a little bit, maybe people that are listening don't really know what mindfulness is, haven't tried it, how that could look? How would you do it?
Why don't we just try it?
Yes.
We're going to start by being completely still, and you can either sit down on a chair or you can lie down on the floor and close your eyes or just fix your gaze. Focus on your in-breath. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and just stay with your breath and just feel the sensation as the air is entering your nostrils and how it feels when they're exiting your nostrils. Just notice if there's a difference. Just stay with the breath. Breathe in. And as you exhale, feel your body becoming more relaxed. And feel the stress, worries, everything just exiting your body. And breathe in again. And out. So it's really easy to just take a few moments in the day, wherever you are.
And the breath is also something you can always bring with you, right? Just something constant, so you can always use that.
Wherever you are. You can do it on the bus. You can do it a few minutes by your desk at work. You can really do it wherever you are.
And you even took this a step further, right? Because you took your thesis, your paper, and you did something with it.
Yes, that's right. I actually took my thesis and I turned it into a book, which I've called the Mindful Songwriter. In the book, there are 13 different mindfulness exercises that will be beneficial to you and help you access your creativity easier, and also some writing exercises. We also go into looking at writer's block and to create a healthy writing habit.
Wonderful. Do you think maybe we could hear little excerpts from it here?
Absolutely, but that will come next week in our reflection session.
And I am so looking forward to you getting this to the public.
Yes, thank you. And just talking about it now actually reignites my inspiration for it as well, because Ekta has sort of taken over all of my channels output for a while. But this is,
Well, you should take one back.
I will do, because it's so dear to my heart and it's something I feel so strongly for.
And this is also something that we, of course, will include a little bit of in Ekta.
Yes.
All this knowledge that you have, which is wonderful. So,
well, thank you, Karina. We have now reached the science section of this week's episode. When you settle into a mindful state, even with something as simple as noticing your breath, your parasympathetic nervous system is activated. It's the body's natural rest and digest mode, which helps you recover from stress. Your breathing slows, your heart rate steadies, and your blood pressure lowers. On the surface, you might just feel a little calmer or more relaxed, but underneath, your stress hormones like cortisol actually decrease, while inflammation in the body is reduced. This matters because high cortisol and inflammation is linked to everything from anxiety and burnout to heart disease. So every time you take a mindful pause before creating, you're not just helping your creativity, you're also protecting your long-term health.
Mindfulness also rewires the brain. And here's the wild part. Mindfulness doesn't just change how you feel. It changes your brain itself. Thanks to neuroplasticity, your brain can form new pathways and connections throughout life. MRI studies have shown that people who practice mindfulness regularly actually grow more gray matter in areas linked to memory, learning, and emotional regulation. And at the same time, the amygdala, the part of your brain responsible for stress and fear, shrinks. That means you literally become better at handling emotions and bouncing back from stress. For creators, this is huge. A calmer amygdala means less performance anxiety, less paralysis from self-doubt, and more space for authentic creativity.
And research also shows that mindfulness-based therapies are as effective as medication for some people dealing with depression, and they help prevent relapse over time. What's powerful here is awareness. When you practice mindfulness, you start noticing negative thought spirals before they take over. Imagine catching yourself mid-thought. This song is terrible. I'm a fraud. And being able to pause, breathe, and redirect. Instead of letting that inner critic derail your session, you stay in the process and keep writing or keep creating. This ability to step back and see how your thoughts, without judgment, is a game changer. Not just for mental health, but also for sustaining a long, joyful, creative practice.
And this must also be whatever you're creating, I'm thinking.
Of course, absolutely.
Or if you're in the middle of creating social media content or whatever.
Or creating a course, or creating you're writing a speech or whatever you're doing. Absolutely.
Yeah. Mind wandering versus mindfulness. Did you know that your mind is wandering almost half the time? A Harvard study found it's 46.9% of your waking hours. And here's the kicker. The more your mind wanders, the less happy you feel. Oh, I didn't know that. Even if you're daydreaming about something positive, you tend to feel less content than when you're fully present. Mindfulness trains your brain to stay anchored in the now. Yeah, that's what you talked about. Which means fewer mental detours into worry or distraction. For creatives, this matters because when you're creating, you thrive on presence. A creative idea can slip away in seconds if you're not tuned in. It's the ping pong balls again. Cigarnik, it's back.
Yes.
Yeah. By strengthening your ability to stay present, mindfulness helps you capture inspiration as it arises, instead of letting it drift past.
Each week here on Big Dreams, Little Things, we take on a tiny experiment. And this week, it's time for me to leave the guitar. No, I'm not leaving it, but I'm not focusing on it. I am still practicing.
Yes.
I'm actually going to do a laughing meditation for 5 minutes a day.
Wow.
And I've tried it, and it feels really strange when you first sit and do it. The feeling afterwards is actually really amazing. But the scary thing is for adults, we laugh about 15 to 20 times a day on average. And if you compare that to kids who laugh 300 to 400 times a day.
Yeah. Wow.
They've linked it so much to well-being to laugh, actually. We know how good it feels when you have a good laugh.
I can get too serious. My brain gets the hold of me and I get too serious. And so I can completely, see this one. I had a teacher in mental practice. Lars-Erik Unestål.
yes.
And he actually had a practice where he collected humorous clips, like video clips or YouTube clips, just for this reason, to laugh more in the day. So maybe we should try. Let's do 20 seconds.
Yes. Shall we try it? When I've done it before, you just sort of start with sort of giggling a little bit. Oh my God. That's so funny. I actually did catch me on.
That's great. I think that was 20 seconds.
Tears coming to my eyes.
Yes, me too. Yeah.
It makes you more relaxed as well, I think. It just makes you...
I mean, it's vibration. You're vibrating in your whole body when you're laughing.
Of course you are.
We should do a video with us vibrating.
Laughing meditation specifically.
That might get some followers.
Yes.
Yes.
We should put some music to it as well, some comical music to it.
Yes. Well, we're all about being practical.
Wow. That was good. That was great. Good initiative, Karina. This month, in our monthly workshop series, we're focusing on strategic focus, doing the right things, not just more things. Designed to help you stay on track, make real progress, and connect with other like-minded people.
We'll introduce the ECTA method, and you'll leave with a clearer view on your productivity, practical tools, and actionable steps to deter from procrastination.
It's interactive, supportive, and a bargain at just $13.99. So whether you're looking for growth, connection, or a spark of inspiration, or maybe some laughing,
yes.
It's the perfect space to explore your next steps.
And you can sign up now at ectahub.net. We'd love to see you there and help you take the next step towards authentic progress. As you might have noticed, we have started to charge for our workshops. Why did we do that? We've been saying it's free now for months. Well, the thing is, we've come to the conclusion that when you pay a small sum for something, it's more likely that you show up. You get so bombarded by things coming in the mail, so it's completely understandable to forget to show up and forget things that might actually be of real importance. But this is the reason why we have started to charge $13.99, a bargain for our workshops, to stay authentic. Today has been so insightful and full of such great examples of mindful creation. Thank you, Maria, for sharing some of your expertise on this subject. And I honestly can't wait until your book hits the shelves.
Me neither.
And I've read it, so I know it's pure gold.
Thank you. It means a lot.
Well, maybe, just maybe, we can hope for it under the Christmas tree. Yes. And I really recommend it.
Thank you so much, Karina. And remember that being present isn't just good for whatever you're creating. It's really good for your whole self. And I think with small steps, and maybe even throw in a tiny experiment or two, you can really reconnect with both your creativity and your joy.
Well, next week is Reflection Week, a space to pause, look back, and notice what truly resonated from the last episode, and that means this episode. So next Friday, we'll release a new one inspired by this week's theme of mindfulness, whatever comes up. And also, we usually include a listener's view, if we get some of those. And each Reflection Week will include a listener's challenge. Something small, easy to do, and practical, designed to move you a little closer to a more focused and fulfilling creative life. Just like an online accountability group of peers can do. Then, in 2 weeks' time, right around Halloween, well, we have no intention of scaring you, but rather of keeping you cozy inside, listening to an inspiring new episode of Big Dreams and Little Things, featuring, that time, voice coach Amber Monk-Cathy. So excited that she's going to be with us.
I am too. Super exciting.
Yes. And Amber's a voice professional and creative entrepreneur who works with clients all over the world, based between Nashville and now Denver. She runs her own membership community and hosts a podcast dedicated to voice, artistry, and creative growth. And she works with some of the world's finest singers. She helps artists and speakers reconnect with their authentic voice, not just technically, but emotionally and creatively as well. And her story of rebuilding and rebranding her business is something you don't want to miss.
No, you certainly don't. But for today, that's all, folks. Keep the inspiration going. Follow us on Instagram at bigdreams.ekta and snag your spot for our October 23rd workshop. And don't miss our Backstage Wednesday letter for your weekly dose of creative spark.
And if you like what we're doing, please share it with a friend. It means the world to us because that means we can continue doing this. And remember, show up,
speak up,
and never skip.
The victory dance.